You're Shifting Gears with Alan Bailey.
I really enjoy the smell of burnt rubber and race fuel in the morning. Sue me.
Whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA drag racing, or AMA Supercross, we've got it.
I'm going to be unapologetic. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. Get over it.
Grab a gear and let's go.
Well, is it time to go already? Really?
You're Shifting Gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
Hey, that's me. Welcome on in. You're Shifting Gears right here on ARN, the American Racing Network. Like the man said, my name is Alan Bailey. Welcome on in. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Alan Bailey. You can also use the hashtag ARNRace to get in on this conversation as well. Lots of interesting topics. We're covering NASCAR, Dover over the weekend, the doubleheader, the GM doubleheader, if that's what you want to call it. In IndyCar, we had some interesting NHRA action over the weekend. And, oh, by the way, it's how we kick off our show, or it's how we're going to plan on kicking off our show with all these different news and notes. I think Darrell Waltrip's an idiot. Michael Waltrip might be a bigger idiot. I can't really tell. They're both kind of not intelligent, but we'll go from there. I have reasoning. Lots of testing, lots of interesting rumors in NASCAR with the whole Roush Fenway racing thing, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, it gets interesting. I'm just going to leave it at that. It gets very interesting and a little murky, if you ask me, at the same time. Some of the big stories, modifications to NASCAR and their Mudsummer Classic, we're going to talk about that. The Belle Isles refurbishment on the circuit, what's going to happen there, the latest on Biffle and Edwards. Also, AJ Fort, is he giving a ride to Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, or both for the Indy 500 next year? We'll have the details. Plus the 100th Top Fuel winner over the weekend in Englishtown. And yes, Jimmy Johnson back-to-back. Castroneves sweeps for Chevy and for Penske. It gets interesting pretty darn quick. So in order to kick this all off, we start with our hot topics, and we start right there. NASCAR announcing that they have a new format change to their Mudsummer Classic, the now second annual NASCAR Camping World Truck Series dirt race that happens at the Eldora Speedway, scheduled this year for July 23rd. And the enhancements include pit stop strategies during the competition. Cautions are now optional. Each qualifying race will now be 10 laps each. Last year, it was 8 laps. A random draw will now determine the qualifying order. Last year, it was based off practice speeds. And owners' points will be awarded to the top 5 team owners whose trucks do not transfer to the main feature. Last season, teams that did not advance did not earn owners' points. And we'll break down everything that happens in all the changes in qualifying, the qualifying races, the last chance qualifying races, the features, and a whole lot more. Lots of changes. We're going to go through it all, trust me, and it gets a little hectic. Also, in IndyCar, Graham Rahal coming out and explaining, yeah, you know what, our team, we know what we're doing. We have a lot of good people here. The cars are good. The driver's good. We're just having bad luck. We'll break it down and get your opinion on that one. And also in IndyCar, big sponsorship news. The website Angie's List setting up as the Grand Prix of Indianapolis's title sponsor. Yeah, believe it or not. New sponsor for next season in 2015 on May 9th. More information on this later on in the programming. And yes, everything in NHRA is going to be very, very cool this Labor Day weekend, as the Chevrolet Performance USA Nationals will once again be on display as they celebrate their 60th anniversary during the Labor Day weekend showcase. And yes, tickets are on sale. We'll have the rundown for you and break it all down for you a little later on. Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series thunders back into Bristol. Yeah, they're heading back to Bristol the 13th through the 15th at the Bristol Dragway. We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the programming. And speaking of drag racing, yep, Richie Crampton claimed his first career Top Fuel victory, and he became the 100th different winner in Top Fuel. at the Toyota NHRA Summer Nationals on Sunday. Cruz Pedregon in funny car, Jay Coughlin Jr. in Pro Stock rather, and Andrew Hines on the Pro Stocks motorcycles were also respective winners at the Old Bog Township Raceway Park for the Summer Nationals. We'll break down everything that happened over the weekend a little bit later on in the program. Jimmy Johnson had a hernia surgery. You heard it on Monday on the Pit Pass, and he went into an explanation as to why he didn't exactly want to disclose that information. And speaking of disclosing information, we heard this from Robin Pemberton in the garage area over this last weekend. Take a listen.
We do a track walk after every race in the morning. So at the time, that had been a previous patch, but our staff or crew didn't see anything wrong.
That's what Robin Pemberton had to say after the pothole on Sunday's race at the Dover Speedway. We'll break it down, plus get your opinion and the full clip as to what Pemberton said following the race on Sunday. You're not going to want to miss this one. Do you need a brand new website? Don't build it yourself, and please don't go on one of these build your own website for free ones, because trust me, once they slap you with all the hidden fees, when you're paying an arm and a leg and you're doing all the work yourself, and worst of all, you're losing all of your music, all of your photos, all of the information that you upload. It all becomes property of them and you lose the rights to it. Don't hand away your hard-earned work, and don't do it all yourself. Hire someone to do it for you that lets you keep the rights to all of your property. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com in order to start building your website today, and start with a quote from Apollo Aesthetics. Mention ARN for a discount. That's apolloaesthetics.com. I'm Alan Bailey from the ARN Newsroom. We'll return in just a moment.
I've seen the problem, or at least This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Okay, so let's say that you're trying to build a website for free on one of these website builders. You go ahead and spend hours uploading your personal information and all of the photos that you've taken of your products, only to find out that you can't bring a .com onto that website without paying a huge fee. And you can't remove those ads without paying a huge fee. And you can't remove all of those pesky "this website was built for free" buttons without paying a huge fee. By the time you've paid all these fees, you've paid thousands of dollars in order to remove all of these pesky ads. Why go through all the hassle? Why spend all of those hours doing it yourself? Go ahead and log on to apolloaesthetics.com, not only to request a quote to build your brand new website and to see a rendering of what your website could look like, but in order to set up services like email, hosting, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram accounts, and a whole lot more. That is Apollo Aesthetics and apolloaesthetics.com.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart, and I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
The odds of having a boy who grows up loving baseball,
1 in 6.
which earns him a college scholarship,
1 in 2,500.
that gets him a contract in the minors,
1 in 3,700.
which leads to starting shortstop in the majors.
1 in 290,000.
The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism,
1 in 150. You know the odds. Now learn the signs. Go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The Pit Pass.
Who's a bigger idiot, Michael Waltrip or Darrell Waltrip? And here's why I ask. Michael Waltrip's working on a deal to get Greg Biffle to drive a car for him. Multi-million-dollar deal. And what does he do? He tells a guy named Jaws, "Darrell, don't say this to anybody, but I'm going to sign this Greg Biffle guy." "Well, okay, Mikey, I won't tell anybody." And then goes on the pre-race and tells the entire NASCAR community. Nice job, DW.
The Pit Pass. Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern on ARN. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com, your daily manly feed. You're shifting gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
That is me. Welcome on back. You're shifting gears right here on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Like you said right there. Now, you can get in on this conversation by simply logging on to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. At the Alan Bailey is where you can find me. You can also use the hashtag ARNRace, where you can get me as well. A lot of stuff that we're talking about, namely, I want to talk NASCAR. I'm starting NASCAR, and I know I usually go IndyCar here at the start, but I want to talk NASCAR here because there's a lot of interesting stuff in NASCAR that I think we need to cover. Namely, everything that happened this last weekend at Dover before we get into the Pocono stuff and big changes at Pocono that are really going to affect the outcome of that race, I believe. So let's start with this. Robin Pemberton was in the media center by the request of the media, and although the media was kind of playing chicken a little bit for a while there, they actually did finally find some cojones and asked him a couple of real questions. So we took out all of the awkward pauses, and this is literally the entire press conference with Robin Pemberton. It lasted precisely 4 minutes once we took out all the dead air. With the dead air, it was about 5 minutes and 20 seconds. There was a lot of silence in that room because the media was basically afraid because this is a touchy subject for NASCAR. The reason is NASCAR actually walks the track before every race and after every race, and they make sure, okay, the track's clear, okay, this is good, the fence here is cool, everything's good, okay, great. The reason they walk the track to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. They failed in 2004 at Martinsville, and they failed again on Sunday. Go figure. It happens. Literally. Twice in 10 years. That's not a bad record, but it's still bad nevertheless. So Robin Pemberton felt he needed to defend NASCAR and answer any and all questions that the media had. So he said this when he was asked if the patch was in fact a concern before the race on Sunday.
We do a track walk after every race in the morning. So at the time, that had been a previous patch, but our staff or crew didn't see anything wrong with it.
Additional questions in the media center before we go upstairs? Dan?
Dan Gelston, the Associated Press. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the decision not to let the cars work under the red flag, especially Jamie.
Yes, we've had issues of things like this in the past. And Martinsville comes to mind, some other things similar to that, and our policy is not to let them work on the car. You may remember when we had a equipment failure, broadcast equipment failure some time back, and that affected the entire field of race cars. And at that time with we did red flag, and we did allow the teams to fix the damage that was caused by that equipment failure. But that is our normal policy, to not allow teams to work on their cars.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Mike.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Robin, just to be clear about what Jimmy and Harvick said, they both said they had seen the problem, or at least the possibility of a problem earlier, but there was no contact between any of those people and you guys?
No, there's a staff at every racetrack that goes and walks and checks for things like that. So when they did their check, either post-race or this morning, they did not see a problem with that.
Okay, Mary Jo, go ahead.
Mary Jo Buchanan, Speedway Media. Can you talk a little bit, Robin, about how the actual repair was made, the materials used?
Yeah, our teams are, we have equipment and we have product at every facility. Facilities keep it on hand. We do bring extras in case there is a need for it, but it is it's an epoxy type filler that we use, and it's basically the same filler that's used at anytime we make a repair at the track, whether it be asphalt or concrete.
Okay, we had one here from Holly.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. How big did the hole turn out to be? Can you give us any dimensions?
I can't recall what he said. It was 2 or 3 inches deep, and it was 6 or 8 inches by maybe 10 inches or something like that. So it was pretty substantial.
Okay, we have a question in the back, Seth.
Seth Livingstone, NASCAR Newswire. Robin, there was also some issue with the crossover walkway with the glass there. Was that ever a concern?
When we were notified about that, the track maintenance department went up and looked at it. They felt that it was not going to be an issue. They kept personnel on the bridge for the rest of the race. They also put tape on, or duct tape, to try to secure to help with the vibration, but they did not feel that it was going to be an issue. Use your mic, I can't hear you. They just made sure that nobody was standing on the bridge. Well, the track doesn't want things like this to happen any more than we do or the competitors do. So this isn't a recommendation. I mean, you always go into a facility, you know, things happen, and that's why we have, you know, that's why we're trained. We have people that are trained in these types of things, and that's why we, you know, the group is able to make repairs in 20 minutes or so. So, you know, you know, you always have to be ready for the emergencies, and you don't have to recommend, because everybody wants to have the same perfect race day as they can.
Well, there is Robin Pemberton, Vice President of NASCAR's competition in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. He was talking after the race. That was after the race in Dover. It was a press conference in the media center at the Dover International Speedway on Sunday. Interesting topic. If you don't know, there was a very large pothole in Turn 2 of the racetrack. What happened was Ryan Newman, about two-thirds of the way through the race, I would say, ran over said pothole, kicked up a chunk of concrete. Jamie McMurray was the next car to run over it, and it literally went through his grill. It exploded in the front of his car, causing dirt and dust and all kinds of debris to fly everywhere. It was right underneath one of the walkover bridges at the racetrack, which caused damage to the walkover bridge and caused damage to his car. He was not allowed to fix his car under the red flag that they threw to fix the track, but they did fix the crossover bridge, and he said it right there. Robin Pemberton said it right there. What did they use? Duct tape. I'm not kidding. They used duct tape. Doesn't that make you feel warm and special that a bridge that is that is built to withstand 150-mile-an-hour debris flying at it was brought down by essentially pebbles and chunks of rock, which, although it does do damage, I'm not saying it doesn't, they fixed it with duct tape. And they let fans walk over and across that bridge, duct taped wall and all. Are you kidding me? Way to go, NASCAR. Honestly, this was a failure on their part. It really was. It was a huge failure on their part. So, they honestly, NASCAR needed to catch this before the race. They didn't, and what are you going to do? There's not much that they can do, really. They need to get a better program in order to walk the track before the actual race, and really just stop, because everything that they're doing is all good and fine, and 99% of the time, they find everything that's wrong with the racetracks, and they catch these problems. But in 2004, they didn't, and in 2014, they did it again. It was a failure, and I think the worst crime here was that Jamie McMurray, who was clearly a victim, didn't do anything to deserve that piece of debris coming up onto the racetrack, coming up from the racetrack and getting into his grill. What happens? You can't fix your car. It's against the rules. You should have let him fix it, NASCAR. That was a failure on your part. I'm just saying. It was 2 or 3 inches deep. That is pretty substantial. That's not nothing. And it was 6 to 8 inches long. That's pretty substantial. We're not talking about a little tiny one here. It's pretty substantial. So NASCAR clearly dropped the ball on this one. There's not much more I can say about that. What I do want to say is moving on into this coming weekend at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, as it were. It's known as the Tricky Triangle because it's literally a triangle. There's 3 major turns. Each turn is modeled after a different particular turn in a particular different racetrack. The entire front stretch of Pocono Raceway is the length of the Richmond International Raceway. That's how long and that's how big this track is. Restrictor plates were used at this racetrack at one point, and I'm really glad that's not the case anymore, because that was some really bad racing. I'm just saying. But now you look at the racetrack, they redid the track surface a number of years ago. It's still a very good surface. You look at turn 1, heavy braking getting into turn 1. It's a fairly flat triangle, so you have to keep that in mind. The turn that is really Calamity Corner, if you will, is turn 2. It's the tunnel turn, and it was Calamity Corner for a number of years because there was a bump, or there was a curb at the bottom of the racetrack, right at the apron, and drivers, when they would hit that, it would launch them up the racetrack and usually into a fellow competitor or into the wall. This year, it's gone. They've removed it. The Pocono Raceway has removed that bump in turn 2, so really it's eliminated that. So it's going to be interesting to see what drivers do dive bombing into that. I think it's going to play out a lot like the dog leg does in Phoenix, I think. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how drivers react to that. This is a crew chief's worst nightmare. You have 3 completely different turns with 3 completely different bankings, 3 completely different distances of the turning radius. This is the worst track to set up in all of NASCAR and possibly all of racing. It is not a fun track, period. It produces some interesting racing, I'm saying, and by interesting I mean bad. But what do I know? I'm just the guy who watches it. I'm not the guy who races it. They have sporadic good side-by-side racing, but it's few, far and in between. Long green flag runs, fuel mileage tends to be the name of the game, which is fine, it's interesting, but it doesn't produce that great side-by-side racing that we're typically used to seeing. It's very long, it's stretched out, it's somewhat boring, but we're still going to watch somehow. And yes, we will be back in about a month and a half to this racetrack anyway, so if you don't watch this weekend, that's fine, because you're going to be able to see it in basically a few weeks anyway. So relax. That is not a problem. Something that I do want to mention here, Jonah Hill. He was on Jimmy Fallon in The Tonight Show last night, actually. He's going to be actually dropping the green flag at a race here in the next coming weeks to promote that new movie that he has coming out, 22 Jump Street, the sequel to the 21 Jump Street remake. And he was discussing with Jimmy how to do the Gentleman Start Your Engines, and Jimmy's going, dude, you got to be intense. Dude, you can't screw this up. Dude, you got to be great about it. It's got to be amazing. It's got to be epic. This, that, and the other. And what does he do? He gets on there and he's talking, well, I think I know what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And Jimmy hands him the microphone that's on the desk and goes, here, we'll practice. Go. And this is what Jonah Hill basically did for his Gentleman Start Your Engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to be respectful to one another while moving in and out of traffic, and to understand that we are all here just to watch you guys make it to the other end. Thanks.
And you got to watch the interview. There's a link up on arnrace.com and also Facebook and Twitter at arnrace if you haven't seen it. Honestly, he was talking about how, well, I'm so melancholy and I drive 2 miles an hour. There's no way I can be intense. I'm just going to be me, and that's me. I'm just going to ask that they don't text and they don't do this and they don't do that. And I think that's the best way. And this is literally the best he could come up with.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to be respectful to one another while moving in and out of traffic, and to understand that we are all here just to watch you guys make it to the other end. Thanks.
Is it just me, or does it sound like he's trying to lecture a bunch of new driving students or something? I listen back and think, okay, I'm at the DMV. I've been here for 10 hours at least today. I want to stab myself because I've been here for 10 hours, but I won't because I've almost got my driver's license. I just have to listen to this guy who's going to finally take me out on my driver's test, get behind the wheel, and I'm going to get my driving license, and I'm going to be fine. And then this happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to be respectful to one another.
I don't care. Leave me alone.
While moving in and out of traffic, and
I know.
to understand that we are all here just to watch you guys make it to the other end.
Okay, that's fine. I want to have my license. Ah! Seriously, if Jonah Hill was your driving instructor, I might run. I might just go ahead and just get in line for the bus right there, because I'm not saying he's a bad driver, but from his self-description, it doesn't sound like he's that great. Jonah Hill. Funny man. I really enjoy his comedy. It's pretty funny. Most of his movies are really good. That Wolf of Wall Street, I saw most of it. It was out there, Jonah. Just saying. Everything else is good, though. That was out there. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I hate it. It was somewhere in the middle. I nothing it. I nothing that movie, Jonah. Just saying. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break here. When we return, we're going to talk some drag racing. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about in the world of drag racing. We're going to get Scan 43 from Dover, NASCAR, when we return. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on the American Racing Network.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
The odds of having a boy who grows up loving baseball,
1 in 6.
which earns him a college scholarship,
1 in 2,500.
that gets him a contract in the minors,
1 in 3,700.
which leads to starting shortstop in the majors.
1 in 290,000.
The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism,
1 in 150. You know the odds. Now learn the signs. Go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
I'm not sure if you know, but a lot of people are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if I'm speaking a foreign language to you right now, don't worry. A lot of people have trouble with it, but you should not be one of them. If you're looking to get your business online, and if you're looking to build a stronger web presence online in order to build more customers and to sell more product, log on to apolloaesthetics.com. Not only will they help build a brand new custom website for you, but they'll help set you up with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts in order to build your customer base and get your product out there for people to see. Everyone's online and everyone has a smartphone. Does that free custom website that you can build really work on an iPod or an iPad? Well, Apollo Aesthetics build websites that not only are capable of working, but work with all kinds of smartphones and mobile devices. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com not only to see all the services that they offer, but to request a quote to get your business online today. It's apolloaesthetics.com.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed Veterans National Service Officer Michael Killen.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit pva.org.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart. I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
It doesn't matter what it is, if it's got a motor and at least 2 wheels, we're covering it on ARN. From AMA Supercross and Motocross to IndyCar to NASCAR, NHRA drag racing and off-road action, we've got it all right here on the American Racing Network, your motorsports authority. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ARN Race, and visit arnrace.com for your 24/7 motorsports fix. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. We've got your top moments from Dover this last weekend in this edition of ARN Scan. We start with number 5.
Carl is stop with me. Freaking hit me in the door down pit road. I'll relay a message if you want me to. I'd rather just not talk to them. Then he comes up and he freaking hits me in the door because he gets checked up in front because there's someone trying to pit, and then he's mad at me. So, Channel 2, I'd rather not even go down there and say anything because it's like talking to a damn fence post, you know. Ain't worth it.
Number 4.
16 out there, 16 out there. Hold it back, hold it. Easy, easy. Clear. Caution. Damn 17, I got it under me, turned right back under me, or into me. I don't know why, I was clearly past him when he turned back under me. What happened there, Joel? The 47 just kamikazed on the bottom, went under the 17, and just ain't nothing left on the back. You'll have to go to the garage. We're done. I'm good.
Number 3.
All clear. Sit in a fence behind you. Keep digging. Yellow's out. We got right rear damage. Hit pretty hard. You okay, KB? KB, I know you're pissed. Talk to me. I can't see you. I can't hear you.
Come down to the bottom. They're waiting on you. Come down.
18's up here in turn 3 trying to wait. I'll give you what we have to do. You get under the car in front of you. Put somebody in between you and him. Do not give him the opportunity to do nothing.
Be smart here, Kyle. They're calling A. Kyle, stop.
Get back up top. Here he comes inside of you. Right on your bumper. Keep going. NASCAR's helping you. Keep going. Don't let him hit you.
They're calling you on that. Just stop.
All right, stop and get in line. He's gone.
Number 2.
Popped the right front tire, or I hit something. I don't know what happened. You hit a huge piece of the track in the middle of the splitter.
They're going to red flag it. Keith, did you see a replay on TV? Just the track came up?
Yeah, the track came up and it blasted the front of our splitter. I think they should give us our lap back. Can't let us work on the car. It's not our fault.
Said there's a big hole over there. They're trying to fix it.
Well, it got about 30 years out of it. Hell, maybe more. Be a good time to put a tunnel in and put a little surface down.
Tell you what, we got the Coach 600 for long.
Put a mailbox up in like 20 minutes. Surely it'll be hard enough by then.
Number 1.
Looking at the 9-time winner at the Monster Mile, Jimmy Johnson. Yes, boys. What a car. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, team. Awesome day. Boy, I told you were going to like that race car, didn't I? Told you last week. Yeah, man, what a ride. Thank you. Difficult to do with that banking, isn't it? Oh, that's nice.
Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to Apollo Aesthetics to start building your new website today. You're Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
Let's talk IndyCar. I'm a fan. I'm a recent fan, I'll admit it. I've been casually watching IndyCar racing for the past decade or so, and within the last 3, 4, 4-ish, 5-ish, somewhere around there seasons, I've been watching it pretty hardcore, and over the course of the last 2 years, I've been really hardcore. And I've done my, and like any broadcaster, like anybody who has a passion for something, I research, I look up, and I get obsessive. Admittingly, I did that with NASCAR about 10, 15 years ago, how long ever I've been watching NASCAR racing, and I've done it with, I'm in the middle of it with IndyCar. I'm definitely in the middle of it with drag racing as well, but that leads me to this topic. Graham Rahal. He drives the National Guard car in the Verizon IndyCar Series. I keep wanting to say IZOT, and I have yet to do it on the air, but in casual conversation, I've said it about 300 times so far. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it is the Verizon IndyCar Series. See? Getting it in. You got to watch those sponsors. It's been a long time for Graham Rahal between wins. He's gotten that first win. He got it back in, what was that, 2008? 2009? Something like that? It was about 6 years ago. And he's still waiting on that second win. He was just a teenager when he won his first ever IndyCar race. And it was a record for youngest winner at the time. It still is. It's still standing. And honestly, at the time, if you would have told me 6 years later we won't see him back in victory lane, I would have told you were crazy. Really. Because I was watching at the time and I thought, wow, this kid's good. And He was always near the front. He was in competitive cars. I thought, well, yeah, he's going to win soon. This season, it just, I don't know what's wrong with him this season. It's just uncharacteristically off. Really off. He drives that Honda for his father, and you got to think, well, is it the cars? Is it the equipment? Is it the people? Rahal stood up this week and basically said, hey, it's not the cars. It's not the teams. We know what we're doing. He told the Associated Press, quote, Our car was the quickest at the end, and I knew I had an opportunity on the restart. My guys did a phenomenal job on this team. It's made up of champions. I knew that it would come a time when we were going to win one. We're going to do it. I can promise you that I'm going to win one, unquote. He is going to win one. It's just a matter of when, honestly. He continued on to say, quote, we're going to do it, and I'm finally going to get that monkey off my back, unquote. And yeah, but that monkey on your back, Graham, is not so much a monkey. It's basically King Kong at this point, and it very much needs to get off your back. I'm not saying that the guy doesn't have talent. I'm not saying that there's anything holding him back. I'm just saying it's racing. You see this all the time. You see something that holds up a driver from getting that win. I don't know what it is. I don't want to call it luck because I believe that there is a little bit of luck in racing, but mostly you have to have enough skill to both handle the car, prepare your team, and make sure that you're prepared for any possible scenario. And then when issues arise, your team will rally, and if they come back, you have a championship contending team, and if they don't, then you need to work on it in order to create a championship contending team. I think his team is a championship contender. I just think that there's a string of quote-unquote bad luck and a quote of something missing, whatever that something is, whether it's a mechanical thing, whether it's luck, whether it's just pit stops and yellow flags falling the way that they do, whether it's a bad set of tires, who knows what it is. It's just a little something. He finished second over the weekend behind Power in the first race on Saturday, and honestly, I thought, okay, Sunday's going to come around. He's going to legitimately have a shot for it. Yeah, he was up there. It just never panned out for him. I don't know. It's one of those things where I think the team might need to keep up with adjustments to that car a little bit more. I think that maybe he needs to communicate a little bit more. It's a little bit of everything out of every category, so I can't just point my finger and go, aha! This is the problem! We can fix it if we change this! And it's not as simple as firing one person or moving somebody around. It's just, it's something. It's not one thing. It's something. Something that is undescribable and untangible off with that race team. They're going to do it. They really are. They had a great day over the weekend, at least one of them. And honestly, it's a matter of time. You just got to give them some time. But I'll say this. When drivers tend to have things in their personal life going well, everything in their professional life on the racetrack seems to be going really well. Him and Courtney Force, they're hitting it off. They've been dating almost a year. Yeah, by the way, it became public right around Christmas, Thanksgiving, around that time that they were dating, but they've been dating for almost a year, maybe over a year now. They just kept it on the DL for a while there. They didn't want everybody to know. I think that they're a power couple in the motorsports world. I really do. Because you have one of the fastest women alive, literally, with Courtney, who, by the way, keeps winning. And you have Graham Rahal, whose family is a staple in IndyCar, who is in the IndyCar series right now, who is contending for wins. He's not winning them, but he's in the topic. He's in the general discussion for it. So he knows what he's doing. It's just a matter of time of just doing it. He's going to get it here soon. And that being said, he's probably going to go out this weekend and rattle off a win. I don't know. I'm not that guy. He's going to be at Texas this weekend for the Firestone 600. They could do it. Not saying they can't. It's a possibility. Saturday night, they could do it. I don't know. We'll see. Under the lights. Texas, Firestone 600. This Saturday. You should check it out. Just saying. I actually love this weekend because it's the best of both worlds, two of the best of both worlds. You have the Firestone 600 IndyCar race on Saturday night, and on Friday night, you have the Wynns World Casino 4K, the truck race from NASCAR. Doubleheader, but the coolest doubleheader ever. Something I really want to see as a race fan. I really want to see this as a race fan. I'll admit, I'm spoiled as a Southern California resident, not just because of the weather, not just because of the fact that it's consistent weather throughout the year, or the fact that we don't, for the most part, have major natural disasters other than earthquakes, and not for the fact that we have the beach, mountains, desert, and forest so close to us. Okay, maybe we have it really good here in Southern California. I can't help it. I'm gloating a little. But you look at it, you have the Auto Club Raceway, you have the Auto Club Dragway in Pomona, you have the Irwindale Speedway, which, by the way, I went out over the weekend. I'll tell you about it a little later on in the program. Very cool weekend. And better one coming up this weekend, FYI. So you have these 3 incredible racetracks. Just to name a few, you have Paris not too far either, and Bakersfield, actually, right up the freeway. So you have these 3 incredible racetracks that are all within, realistically, all within an hour, within 45 minutes, 35 minutes, somewhere around there, of each other. So less than an hour within each other. And you can see 3 completely different types of racing on all 3 of these racetracks on the same day, potentially. I would love to see that. I would love to wake up, go to Pomona and check out some drag racing in the morning, go over to Fontana and the Auto Club Speedway, check out some stock car action or some IndyCar action, and then go to Irwindale and check out some local short track racing, all in one night, all in one day. That's like a racing bucket list to do on my bucket list. I want to see drag racing practice in the morning. I want to see IndyCar race in the early afternoon, and late evening into the evening, I want to see some local short track racing at Irwindale. Can somebody at the Auto Club Raceway in Pomona, the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, and the Irwindale Event Center, please, can you guys all communicate to one another and make this a reality? I really, 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 really want to see this happen. I will personally, and normally I just go, hey, I'm a media member, can I get tickets? Or I call somebody and I say, hey, can I get tickets? I would literally pay $200 per ticket, per event, to watch all the above happen on one day or within 24 hours. I think that would be such an amazing racing high. And I had a pretty damn good one this year, actually, when NASCAR was in town, because I had 3 incredible days of NASCAR out at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, and then amidst all of this, on Saturday night before the Cup race, after the nationwide race, I packed up, did a post-race show, packed up, went to the Irwindale Speedway, barely got there in time. Literally, the girl with the credential window that lets me into the racetrack was closing just as I was running up to her. She saw me and she stopped, so thank you, girl at the window at the Irwindale Event Center. I seriously owe you one for that one. I appreciate it. And she let me and my producer and my business partner in, and we all went and we enjoyed an incredible night of local short track racing at Irwindale, which, by the way, if you haven't been out to the Irwindale Event Center, I highly encourage it. Darrell Waltrip, although he's an idiot with common sense sometimes, he's an incredibly smart man when it comes to racing and NASCAR and everything involved with racing, and he at one point called this racetrack the greatest short track in the country, and I agree with him. It produces amazing side-by-side racing with the progressive banking, with everything. It's wide, it's spread out, but at the same time the cars seem to come together. I've seen 4 and 5 wide racing at this racetrack, and it truly is, it's breathtaking, and it's the perfect short track. It truly is. If you've never been, check out IrwindaleSpeedway.com, get your tickets, get the schedule. They're going to be on track this weekend, actually. As I pull up my scheduler here, let me look it up real quick for you. They're going to be on track this weekend. It's the Father's Day giveaway weekend. They have a number of things out on track this weekend. I'm literally looking up the schedule here because I don't remember off the top of my head. They have, Universal Studios Hollywood Bandoleros on Friday and Saturday. They have race trucks. They have Lucas Oil late models. They have Legends cars and super stocks this weekend at the Father's Day mega giveaway. It's the Mobile One night. They got drag racing and all kinds of stuff on there. IrwindaleSpeedway.com if you want to check it out. I highly enjoy it out there. The people who run the racetrack, phenomenal people, such a cool family atmosphere. When you go to short track races, sometimes you deal with the crowd who show up early, get a little saucy and stay too late and get a little saucy and get a little vocal during the race. There's always, alcoholic beverages at racetracks, but that is not a problem at this racetrack. It was at one point years ago, and the racetrack said, nope, we don't want to do this. We're a family racetrack, and they made it a family racetrack, and they have great deals for family members as well. So log on irwindalespeedway.com and check out some really cool deals. And yes, if you pre-order online, it's a little cheaper. And yeah, there's AAA discounts and all kinds of cool discounts, military discounts. So check it on out. Very cool little short track here in Southern California. I'm spoiled. I'll admit it as a race fan. As a race fan or a human being, whatever you want to call it, I'm extraordinarily spoiled here in Southern California. I've got an amazing dragway. 3 actually. I have Irwindale. Any Thursday night I can go and I can check out some local drag racing. It's pretty awesome. Fontana has some too. I have Pomona, which is not too far from where I am, and I've got an amazing 2-mile racetrack out in Fontana that has NASCAR and IndyCar action out there. I've got an amazing short track as well with Irwindale. And oh, by the way, there's a really cool dirt track in Paris not too far away too. I'm spoiled. I'm taken care of, okay? Knock it off of my bucket list, off my to-do list. I have it made as a race fan in Southern California. You think Southern California, ooh, the snooty Hollywood type, ooh, don't like them, ooh, don't like them. They don't like the racing. No, we like our racing. We're just not waving the flag, and it's not 60-70% of our fan base. It's, I'd say, about maybe 40-30% of the people who live in Southern California are race fans. But that number's growing. I talk to people all the time who are non-race fans, or at least who I thought were non-race fans. That number's growing pretty dramatically. Just saying. Something to keep an eye on. A lot of people who I would never suspect were NASCAR fans come up to me right around the time that NASCAR comes to town and IndyCar comes to town. And hey, you going to the races? Hey, you got any extra tickets? Hey, how do I get tickets? Hey, what's the best day to go? Hey, where do I park? Just questions galore. And I stop and I answer every single one of them. If anyone on the street comes up to me, whether it's in an office, whether it's at a park, whether it's in a movie theater, whether it's at a restaurant, wherever, shopping, you name it. If anyone wants to come up to me and ask me a question about any professional motorsports or any information on how they can go watch professional motorsports, I will literally drop what I'm doing and have a conversation with them. Because if there's a curiosity there, there's an interest there. If there's an interest there, there's a potential to be a fan there. If there's a potential to be a fan there, there's a potential to be a fanatic. If there's a potential to be a fanatic, there's a lifetime passion there hidden. You just have to expose it. So that is how, in a nutshell, we're going to save local short tracks around this country. A, the racing industry in general. B, and keep racing on ESPN and other magazines and other television coverage. Literally, if someone asks you about racing, tell them. Take somebody out to a local short track. I've taken at least 10, 15 groups of friends out to Irwindale Speedway, at least over 50, 60 people out to Irwindale Speedway, out to the drag races, and out to the Auto Club Raceway in Fontana over the course of the last decade or so. And every single person I've taken out to the races have come up to me, hey, when can we go back? Hey, when are the races coming back? Hey, you want to go to the races? It's going to be fun. Let's go. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. You know where I'm going to be on Saturday night? Irwindale. I encourage you. And when I'm there working, I'm up in the media center and I'm going around, I'm going nuts. No offense to the guys in the media center or the people who work in media centers. I don't like media centers. I don't like sitting in a room where I'm sitting there working because it's work, A, and B, I'd rather be in the stands. Give me a soda, give me some popcorn, give me a hot dog, whatever. Get me in a seat with a scanner. I will sit there for the entire race and I will be happy. Also, note, If you're going to go to a race, I highly encourage you, get the food, get the hot dogs, get beverages in general, and get the scanners, get up to the seat with all of these items. Don't sit in your seats and go find all these items. Get to your seats with these items. That way you don't have to get up. And oh, by the way, if you go to the Irwindale Event Center, 3 things I highly recommend. 1, get the kettle corn. It's amazing kettle corn. You can get a big bag for like $5. It's pretty awesome. Get the kettle corn, because you eat half of it and then you take the other half home. Or if you're like me, you're fat and you eat like all of that $5 bag and you get a $3 or a $5 bag to take home the next day. That stuff stays really well in the bag for the next day. Not that it has to stay to the next day. It's pretty awesome though. And you got to try the glazed nuts. They're very delicious. Very delicious. And I also encourage you, get a burrito. Get a burrito or get the barbecue. It's pretty awesome. Really awesome. Just saying. And good luck catching a t-shirt from Lugnuts, because he fires t-shirts and he has a tendency to fire them over the building a few times. Trust me, I went out to the parking lot once. I found a t-shirt sitting on top of my truck. It's pretty awesome. That's a cool way to get a t-shirt. He flung it over and behind the building and it landed in the bed of my truck. Awesome. Awesome. Now just keep doing that and I'm fine. And yes, I may or may not be wearing an Irwindale Speedway shirt right now. Not saying I'm not, but I'm not saying that I am. See what I'm saying? See what I'm doing there? All right, gonna take our final break here. Gonna talk some drag racing here when we get back. Pretty cool weekend this last weekend. I'm just saying, not just because of everything that happened in NASCAR and in IndyCar and everything else, but because we had our 100th different winner in Top Fuel, Ricky Champion. Yeah, no kidding. Cruz Pedregon, Jake Coughlin Jr., and Andrew Hines winning in Funny Car Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle, respectively, at Old Bridge Township Raceway Park. Very cool for the Toyota Summer Nationals. We'll break it down. Plus, preview what's coming up here in a few weeks. It's the 60th year. It is so cool for the Chevy Performance Vehicles U.S. Nationals. It's the 60th. So darn cool over Labor Day weekend. I can't wait. I truly cannot. It is so darn cool. We're going to be talking about it. Yeah, Lucas Oil Raceway is going to be holding it. And it honestly, the logos, everything that's been talked about that race, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up for it. We'll break it all down. Don't go anywhere. You're shifting gears right here on ARN. It's the Motorsports Authority.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Newsflash, it's 2014. It's time to get your business online. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com in order to request a quote to not only build your website, but to set up your custom email and to set up your hosting, your social media, and more. They can also help market and brand your products in order to get more customers, in order to sell product and get it flying out the door. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com right now to request a quote to get all of these services done and a whole lot more. That's apolloaesthetics.com.
Lobster, harvested from the cold, clear waters of Maine, is truly the world's ultimate white meat. It has a distinctive flavor that's both mild and slightly sweet, and is so easy to prepare. Maine lobster is good for you too. It's one of the healthiest and leanest proteins available, containing less fats, calories, and cholesterol than beef, pork, or even the light meat of chicken. For exciting recipes, visit our website at mainelobsterpromo.com.
The Pit Pass.
Who's a bigger idiot, Michael Waltrip or Darrell Waltrip? And here's why I ask. Michael Waltrip's working on a deal to get Greg Biffle to drive a car for him. Multi-million-dollar deal. And what does he do? He tells a guy named Jaws, Darrell, don't say this to anybody, but I'm going to sign this Greg Biffle guy. Well, okay, Mikey, I won't tell anybody. And then goes on the pre-race and tells the entire NASCAR community. Nice job, DW.
The Pit Pass. Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern on ARN. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com, your daily manly feed. Your Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
yes, for the record, I saw the story about Justin Bieber using the N-word and joining the KKK. Ugh. Let me tell you the cliff-noted, just short version of it so you don't have to go Google it. Basically, Justin Bieber flapping his little punk mouth, saying how he wants to kill N-words and join the KKK. He was singing about this. It's like a 2-minute video. It's as disgusting and disturbing as you would imagine. He's smiling and smirking and grinning about it the whole time. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. He needs to get a grip on reality. He's a little spoiled punk who had a voice when he was young because he was young, and all kids, for the most part, can hold a note as long as they can. And as soon as he hit puberty, his voice went away, so his popularity's going away. And now the product of having money young and having the world at your fingertips and having all these privileges has come, and it's starting to go, and he's getting into all this trouble. He needs to be deported. I don't want to say to Canada because, frankly, I don't want to do that to Canada. Even though he's Canadian, I don't think that they deserve him. I don't think that anyone deserves him. Can we put him in a rocket and shoot him to Mars? Because I'm pretty sure that, A, I don't know if the technology is there to send a human being to Mars, A, and B, I don't really care. Just send Justin Bieber, and I will be perfectly fine with that. Anybody who thinks that they're better than the Beatles at age 14? No. Keep in mind, this video was from like 4 or 5 years ago. He's kind of young in it, before he was quote-unquote famous, but pretty much it's pretty horrible and disgusting. And what's the first thing he did about it? The first thing he did about it, he went and talked to Will Smith and Usher about it. Two of his quote-unquote good friends, so that he told them about this years ago. That way, when it was eventually leaked to the public, that they wouldn't be upset with him. Well, I'm pretty sure that they're not as fond of him after this video. It's not exactly flattering. I'm disgusted by it. That's just, ugh. He needs to go away. Now, I want to talk not Justin Bieber stuff, and thank you for all the tweets on that one. I didn't want to see it, but I was forced to, basically, because I got so darn many tweets. But I want to talk about everything that happened over this last weekend. Crampton becoming the 100th Top Fuel winner. This is big. Ricky Crampton. He won in Top Fuel. First time he's ever won in Top Fuel. And he's the 100th different winner. This is huge. We've had 2 100 winners in the last 2 weeks. We had Brittany Force winning this last weekend. Or, excuse me again. I'm mixing up all of my Force sisters for some reason. We had Courtney Force winning in Top Fuel over the weekend, 100th woman to claim a victory in professional NHRA drag racing competition. So cool, so cool. We're going to see another 100 here pretty darn quick. Just keep your eyes out for it. And we had the 100th different winner in Top Fuel competition this weekend. These races are very difficult to win, and the fact that we're seeing so many winners come and go is pretty darn awesome, if you ask me. Now, what's going to happen long-term for him in the series? Who knows? I think he's going to continue on. He's got a really good team under him. They're producing some really fast hot rods, so I predict that he's going to just set sail and keep on going. Now, we're up on time, actually. We're so slammed. This show is not long enough, period. It's not. But I want to tell you, good luck to everyone in the Tequila Score Baja 500 this weekend. It's the 46th annual one. Good luck to everyone in it. Please be safe and just have a good race. I hope you finish. That in itself is a victory. Also, this weekend you have the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race that's happening on Friday night. Saturday, the Firestone 600 IndyCar race at Texas. Sunday, you have the Pocono 400 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. It's a busy weekend. 4 really cool events coming up this weekend. And oh, by the way, the Pit Pass is going to be recapping it all on Monday at 4 p.m. And yes, Shifting Gears will be back next week, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, next Wednesday, right here on ARN. I will see you out at Irwindale this weekend if you're in the area. For everyone else, I'll see you at the track.
Check out arnrace.com to keep up with the latest news, photos, podcasts, and interviews from the track. You've been shifting gears on ARN, the American Racing Network. Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, ARN Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network.